Hello and welcome back again, Power Up enthusiasts to the Power App tutorial channel. In our last video, we concluded our Canvas app requirements, and in today's video, we're going to be jumping into the Cloudflow. Also want to make an announcement that this weekend we are going to be dropping the Power BI requirements. Hope you guys are excited about that. But if you're new here, just make sure you hit that subscription button, add that notification bell so you can stay updated when we come up with new videos. And don't forget to smash that like button. All right, if you guys are ready, let's jump right into it. And the first thing I'm going to do is go straight to New, Automate, Cloudflow. And the first one is what we're looking for. So we're looking for Automated Cloudflow. Select that. All right, so once it populates, let's name our flow. Parking request notification. I'm going to put an S in front of mine just so I don't have errors of namings. And then for the trigger, go ahead and look for when a row. So we're looking for when a row is added, modified, or deleted. And it should be saying Microsoft Dataverse. And then go ahead and check that and then click create. Awesome. So it's pulled up. And for the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the type. We need to change that to just say added. And then for the table name, go ahead and search for your requests table. In my situation is the parking request info. And then for scope, just go ahead and put organization as the scope. I'm going to go ahead and rename this to a more appropriate naming. So when a row is added to the request table. All right, so that's for the trigger. And then go ahead and hit the next step. And for the next step, we're going to be pulling the vehicle info. So type in get a row, and then we're looking for get a row by ID, the one that says Microsoft Dataverse. This is the one we're looking for. And go ahead and pull in the vehicle. So this is vehicle infos in my situation, and we're going to tie that vehicle based on the request. So for under role ID, just use dynamic and search for vehicle. The one we're looking for is the value. So the vehicle that is requesting the right to park, the value is what we're looking for. And then let me go ahead and rename this guy to a more appropriate. Awesome. And then at this point, you can go ahead and hit save. All right, let's move on. And the next step is I want to initialize variables. So this is going to work in two ways. So just search for initialize or variables. And what we're looking for is the initialized variable. And like I was saying, this is going to work in two ways. It's going to help us debug our flow better. And also we're going to use these variables later on when we are posting our emails. So for the first variable that we're going to be initializing, this is going to be the request. This is going to be the request name, which is technically the request ID. And then this is going to be a string. So for the boolean, change that to string. And then for the value, you can search for the request, or this is what we're looking for, the parking request name. That's going to be the value. And let me go ahead and rename this. So initialize variable for request name is more appropriate. So after doing this, I'm going to make my job a little bit easier. So you can go ahead and click save. And then click on the three dots and click copy to clipboard. And what that does is that when we go to the next step and we go to my clipboard, we can just grab the initialized variable again. And this time we're going to rename this. So this time around, we're not grabbing the name. We are actually going to be grabbing the dates. Let me rename the header to, and then for the body, remove the request date, and we're going to be putting this formula under expressions. Start with format datetime. So just type in F format datetime, and then in parentheses, switch over to dynamic content. And what we are looking for is the parking request date time. So this is what we're looking for. So your entire formula should be saying format datetime right now with trigger output, body, and whatever your parking request datetime is saying in your logical name. And then in after the parking request datetime, I want you to put a comma after that. And then in parentheses, we're going to format our datetime to the right format, which is going to be YYYY dash capital letter MM dash DD capital T capital H hyphen MM another hyphen and then SSZ in capital. So this is going to be the full code, and then go ahead and click OK. So our full code should have this, let me close that out. It should have format datetime, trigger outputs, body, forward slash PATC, whatever your logical name is, and then the correct format that we want. So that's going to be for the request date. You can go ahead and hit save. And then let's do one more variable. So next step, my clipboard, initialize variable. This one is going to be the vehicle name. So var vehicle name. I'm going to rename this guy to variable name, vehicle name. And obviously for the parking request, it's also going to be a string. And but for the value, let's go ahead and grab our vehicle name. So the registration of the vehicle is what we're looking for, vehicle name. Just select that and go ahead and hit save. So these are going to be our three variables that we're going to be using both for debugging and later on when we're in our email. All right, moving on. So there is a condition that we're supposed to check to make sure that the capacity for people who are sending requests doesn't exceed a certain amount. The certain amount is supposed to be 15. And to accomplish that requirement, we're going to be using two elements. The first one is going to be something called list rows. So on the new step, let's use, just type and search for list row. And what we're looking for is this one right here that says list rows Microsoft Dataverse. And I'm going to rename this. All right, so this is going to list the request for the target day. And what we're going to do is we're first going to pull in our request table. So this is going to be based on the request info. And then under the filter section, we're going to put in a filter. All right, so I'm back, and this is going to be the formula we're going to be using for our filter rows. So it's going to be PATC underscore parking request datetime GE. GE means greater than or equal to. And then we're going to put in a formula inside our expression. So this is going to be the expression formula. As you can see, it's the format datetime, and it has convert time zone in parentheses after the format datetime. And then after the convert time zone, another parentheses, and you need to put in UTC now, and then a comma, and then UTC in hyphen, and then Central Standard Time Zone. Then finally, we format it using YYMMDD. And if you notice, the final numbers are in zeros, so that's supposed to simulate the beginning of the day, which is why it's greater than equal to. And then the bottom one, which is lesser than or equal to, is the same formula as the top, but this time around, the last numbers are 23, 59, 59. So this is supposed to simulate a 24-hour period based on the parking request info. So we're going to be filtering all the requests, and we're only going to be getting data for the current day under that parking request info. If you're trying to figure out how to get this value, the easiest way to do that is you need to go to your solutions. All right, I went ahead and opened it up so we can make this faster. So if you're in your solution, just make sure you're under parking request. Under columns, you need to find the parking request datetime column under parking requests. And then for the advanced section, the open advanced options. And this is what we're looking for. So PATC, whatever it's saying on yours, just go ahead and grab that. And I want you to paste that in here under our list element. Okay, so that's going to be for the first part of satisfying that condition. You can go ahead and hit save. And then for the new step, we're going to be picking condition under control. This is what we're looking for. And this time around, I'm going to rename this to say, I named it max capacity check less or equal to 15. And then for choose a value, we'll go straight to expressions. This one is not really a long one, so just we're looking for length, and then in parentheses, switch back to dynamic content and go and grab your list rows. And this is what we're looking for, the value. So list value, list of items. So your full expression should be length outputs. This is your full expression, and then just click OK. And once that's done, for the is equal to, change that to is less than or equal to, and then finally 15 to get the capacity. So that's how we're going to, you know, simulate the condition to make sure that we don't overestimate our capacity for the request. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tackle the no section. So what happens if we're at max capacity? We're going to send an email, and it's going to be version 2. All right, let me go ahead and fill this out, and I'll be back, and then we'll walk through it. All right, so I renamed it capacity full, and you need to put in a valid email address. So make sure you put in a valid email address. I suggest you use a school or work email. Those work best when you're using Power Apps that is connected to Outlook also. That's very important. And then for the subject line, we'll put parking request declined. And I want to tag in the vehicle name. So put the vehicle name using the variable we created. And then for the body, we're going to put in this code for the body. So it's going to be hello, thank you for your request for vehicle, and I'm going to put in the vehicle name today, which request ID, and then we're going to tag the vehicle request name. Unfortunately, all 15 parking spaces are already allocated for today. Please try again tomorrow or contact administration if you need special accommodation. And then just a small signature on the bottom. So this is going to be for our capacity full section. Go ahead and hit save. And once that's saved, let's switch over to the yes section. And for our yes section, we're going to first check a condition. So look for condition, control condition is what we're looking for. And under our condition, this is going to be checking if the cutoff is at 5 p.m. So let me rename that. All right, so I renamed it cutoff at 5 p.m. And for our yes side for the cutoff, under choose value, we're going to be putting a new code for the expression. So just put in this code right here. Let me walk through it real quick. So this is going to be, we start with an int. So just type in int, and then in parentheses, we're going to go straight to format datetime. And then after format datetime, in another parentheses, put convert time zone. And then in that convert time zone, use dynamic content. Remember how we use dynamic content? So you're going to use dynamic content to grab the vehicle request date. And then finally, you're going to use UTC and Central Standard Time Zone. And then finally, format it using HH. And after you put that in there, just click OK. So your entire code should look exactly like this. Right, so once you're done with that, for the is equal to, change that to is less than or equal to. And then finally, for choose value to simulate 5 p.m., just put in 17. All right, so that's going to be for our second and final condition that we're going to be checking. So after that, the first thing we're going to do, you can go ahead and hit save once you put that in. And we're going to tackle the no, just like we tackled the other one. So for no, add an action, and we're going to be sending an email. All right, I'm going to rename this and fill this out. I'll be back. All right, so I'm back and I named it request too late. And then just like I said, make sure this is a valid email address. And then for the subject line, we put requests, parking request too late, and then tag the vehicle name in the subject line. And then for the body, we put in hello, your parking request for vehicle name, we request ID, and we're going to tag the request name was received after our 5 p.m. cutoff, and we're going to format the datetime in the correct way so that we can showcase it to the person that this is the wrong time. It has to be before 5 p.m. That's what this code does here. So that's going to be a format datetime, convert time zone variables, var request date UTC, Central Standard Time HHMT. I want to make sure that you guys understand one thing very important. So I'm in the Central Standard Time Zone. That's why I'm using Central Standard. If you're in any other time zone, you should be focusing on making sure that your code says your time zone. Okay? All right, so with that, once you're done filling this in, go ahead and hit save. So that's for the no section. And then let's switch over to the yes section too. And this is the same. We're going to be sending an email version 2. All right, let me fill this out and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. And for the yes section, we put request confirmed as the name. And then make sure this is a valid email address. And then subject line is parking request confirmed. And we're going to tag the vehicle name for the body. Hello, your parking request for vehicle name has been granted. And we're going to put in the request name and put in the time that they requested it. So we're using the same formula for format datetime that we use for our requests. Like I said, make sure you use your time zone. And then once you're done with that, you can go ahead and click save. And with that, we are actually ready to test our flow. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on test. And since we have not done any flow, this is gonna be a manual test. So go ahead and click on that. All right, so now that we're ready, let's jump into our model-driven app. So this is supposed to be a flow that is triggered from the model-driven app. So let's open our model-driven app, and it's going to be based on a new parking request. Let's switch to our new parking request and then go to new. And okay, so we are not supposed to be filling in a parking request name. If you remember, we changed this to an auto number. So this, we're not supposed to be doing this. So let's do a little tweak before we continue. And let's go back into our solution. And I'm going to go straight. So under parking request info, let's go to our form. Open the main form. Go to parking requests. And I want you to hide that. After you hide it, go ahead and save and publish. And we're going to do the same thing for our parking inspection. I remember we did something similar to a parking inspection. So switch tables. We're going to the parking inspection table. Go to the form, main form. I want you to also hide this parking inspection name since we made it auto numbered. Just hide that and then save and publish so that when you're creating a new record, it's not going to cause an error. All right, so once we're done with that, let's go back to our model-driven app, and I'm gonna just hit Control Shift R to refresh. Okay, so this is the correct format we want. Let me see if our flow is still waiting. Okay, it's still spinning, so it's still waiting. So let's go back to our model-driven app, and this time around, so a new request is coming in. Let's pick a date, and then we're gonna pick a time, 4:30 p.m. So this is gonna be before the 5 p.m. request time. And then let's pick TDE 121K, which is a titanium vortex. And then go ahead and click save and close. And let's go to our flow to see what's going on. Okay, so it's finally picked it up. We have green, green, green all the way, green checks mark. And then finally, we have cutoff condition is picking the yes. So if we go to our email, we'll go to our parking request. It says, hello, the parking request for vehicles CDE12 has been granted. We request time, and we have the correct parking request time. Let's simulate if it's after 5 p.m. So go back to our model-driven app, and I'm going to click on new. And this time around, I'm going to pick a time that's after 5 p.m. So let's say 5:30. Let's make it 7:30. So someone comes in at 7:30 and then they just simulate ABC 909S and they hit save and close. And then let's go back to our, well, let's see what email comes in. Okay, so this is the new email and it says parking request too late. As you can see, it grabbed the number and it says, hello, your parking request for vehicle was received after the 5 p.m. cutoff mark, and it gives us the exact time. Okay, so with that, we have actually completed our Power Automate Flow Challenge. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Feel free to also simulate the capacity, max capacity, but that's going to take a long time. That's why I didn't simulate that. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you and goodbye.